Okay. I wanted to kind of do another really kind of a quick video. It's not going to be an incredibly long video, I hope. Every time I say that, it like ends up being a 20-minute video. But I wanted to show you what I was doing as I'm doing it, because there's so much that I can show you when I am working, like with a still photo. Let me get rid of that. And then come up here and get rid of those. Okay. Right now, as if I don't have enough sets of dressers and drawers, bureaus and chiffon-robes, I decided that I wanted to challenge myself with some new pieces. And I talked in one post about how I was using Inkscape. This is Inkscape down here, the little, it's a free platform to work on. How I was using GIMP, which is for photos, and Inkscape, which is more for drawing, which is what I'm using it for. Drawing and illustrative sorts of things. Over here you can see I've got, paths and other stuff. I'm trying to get this so you can see it. But how I'm using it to draw pieces. Now, you saw the piece change here just a second ago, and I'm just coming in and turning this back on. This piece right here is, I'm going to zoom out of that, is from something called Mary Frances Housekeeper. It's a set of books. I'll stick some links into it. This particular book, it was published in the early 1900s. I think this was 1911, I think, maybe 1910. It's got some interesting pieces in it. And the reason you can't find very good copies, because if I zoom in here, you can see this is not incredibly good. I kind of have an idea of where things are, but it's like looking at it through a glass that's been smeared with Vaseline. And you can see there are some things here and here, some tabs. This bottom section in a back. This is a different type of construction where there's no glue involved necessarily. It's just cut, fold, and use tabs. This is a rocking chair piece that I'm not sure I want to use or not. It was just on here. And I managed to land a friend that I follow online had some of these pieces. It's not in the public domain, because what they've done is they've issued newer editions. And I don't particularly like the newer editions either. I did some research into the illustrator, and the illustrator is the sister of Grace Drayton, who came up with Dolly Dingle. Again, I will put links for all of that. But you can see, basically, I come in and I start putting the piece together. Now, some of the stuff that I got rid of earlier, these are my guides. And this is one thing I wanted to show you, because I've gone in and I basically begin with, I have to figure out, especially for these pieces, because I'm eliminating the tabs, which means the construction method is going to change, and I need to figure out where I'm going to put things. Like, this is the top part of, this is labeled as a chiffon-robe, which I believe is just a tall chest of drawers, I think. And these are the sides with side panels. I kind of like this craftsman kind of construction in here. I haven't laid anything out in between here. And what I did, because this one, the previous one that I did, oh dear God, let me see if I pull this one up. That I finished. I think that, nope, not that one, not that one. Where in the heck did I put it? I think I accidentally put it in the wrong, yeah, I put it in here, yeah. I was going to take a look at another one that I finished yesterday. It took me all day. And when I say all day, it took me about 8.5 hours. And I still have some problems with it that I need to fix. And you can see here, if I go in, I like the way they have the layers palette over here. It sometimes makes me a little crazy, but you can see I've got that same image or a different image but I've just turned it off. And part of what was making me crazy was I couldn't get this side panel to match this one. And I kid you not, I went through like, oh my God, the measuring, the Katie math with the things on either side. And I decided how I was going to solve it, and it's working much better now. And I realized this morning that this needs to come out, because I was thinking about this as I woke up this morning. This needs to come out, this line right here on either side, because it's just not needed. And I also need to finish up the inside here with these pieces. So this is basically front, side, the top part. I also need to add something in here, and then the mirror section. One of the reasons I want to do these, because I want to do mirrors. These are flaps, and you can see if you've seen any of mine, my designs, the dotted line means it's folded and put towards the back. And then I've added this piece, created this piece, which I can take this fold line out. I don't know why I put that in. I think it's because this piece had a fold line, and like I said, it was taking me a long time, and I was kind of losing my mind. This is the top piece that will be folded in half and put on top to give more dimension. And then this is a bottom piece. I wanted to try this out. So again, giving myself problems to solve, that is kind of keeping my mind occupied while everything else is on fire around me, if that makes any sense. But you can see here all of these blue lines, these intersecting. It looks like a pattern for a fabric. You can see here these blue lines. This is off. I'm going to need to fix this one, because if we get up really close, let's see. You can see these lines right here are off. This black line needs to be within that. So I think I've got these all locked, so I can't. Let me see if I unlock some of them. I can probably get back in. I like being able to lock things. So you can see these little nodes here. That little node came up when I touched on it, and you can see this one. These can be moved around. So I've got this, it's active, I can move it around, and it's nice because I can put the diamond right on the cross. And then there's a lot of going up and down and up and down and up and down. I have found that there is a snap to grid lines, and these grid lines are the ones that are in the blue. There's a snap to function. However, it is so hair trigger that I just can't use it. It makes me a little nutty. Everything starts snapping all over the place. I need to give it a whirl in a different setting and see if it works. So you can see here, each of these lines right here, if I come over here to fill and stroke, this is fill and stroke. They fight crime. I'm using millimeters for my lines, inches for everything else over here. This line right here, this active line right here, is 0.365 millimeters thick. 0.365. And I've divided it in half with this line, and then I have another set of guidelines on the other side to make sure it's all in line. So for this one's already in line. I can grab some guides and make sure they stay put. Sometimes though, especially as the day gets a little longer, I'm like, okay, I just can't do this anymore. So for every line that you're seeing, I'm going through and adding 3 more guidelines, and that's off, because this is the thing that drives me nuts. Okay, remember, this is 3.65 millimeters. This right here will drive me insane. And I'll bring it down. And sometimes, part of it has to do with the quality of my mouse. My mouse is a little old, and sometimes it just doesn't release properly. And when you're working this large, trying to scroll back and forth is sometimes can be a little hard to do. You can see these right here, these little dotted lines just show that this line is active. And if I click on this one, that's when I get the little diamond. Let's get this a little smaller. So there are times where I have to enlarge, and then, oh God, now that one's in the wrong place. It's kind of like that's, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic kind of thing. I feel as though if I am in the range, like for this one right here, I consider these, they need to be corrected, which means this is the line that is holding in all of this big square, this big rectangle. So I'm going to pull these in and make sure that they're inside here, and then I'm going to drop in other lines. And you can see this dotted line here. This lets me know that this is not straight on the bottom. So I scroll all the way down, I grab the node, oops, and sometimes it does that. I just Control-Z, which just is, is computer for undo. And everything looks good there. Sometimes, though, it'll do this thing where if I'm not paying attention to the little dotted lines, it'll just pick up the piece and move it around all over the place, and I might spend 6 minutes going round and round and round on the same object, which just makes me really not happy. My husband bought me some really lovely tea that I've been drinking. So now I know where that middle is. I know where that side is. I don't plan on dropping anything else inside of this one yet. But you can see this is what I do to make sure everything is straight. This again is part of the Katie math and part of the, I guess I'm trying to explain why I'm not doing so much of the math stuff here. You've heard me mention millimeters and centimeters. I prefer to work in metric because it's just so much simpler to do in my head. However, I am not lining anything up. You can see the inches here, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, blah, blah. I'm not using that. I am eyeballing how large I want it to be on a piece of, wow, that's really swimming in lines there. On a piece of, this could be a little bit larger. I may go ahead and increase this one. A piece of 11 by 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And then I'm kind of letting that math and sizing stuff go. The reason why is because for me and my own math phobias, I do math, I just do it really weird. That if I had allowed myself to concentrate too much on the mathematics of this, the number part of the mathematics and the percentages, I never would have started. I just wouldn't have done it. By letting that all go, I've found a sweet spot for myself, if that makes any sense. And you can like see on this one that this is, sometimes with these pieces too, you can see how horribly unbalanced that is. And when you come back in, because for me, that's also mathematical, is knowing when things are balanced and when they're not balanced. Sometimes it's the copy. Sometimes it's where I've decided to lay my lines in. And you can see here, it's a little from column A and a little from column B. I'm going to need to bring this one in. But what I've also realized is in designing the furniture, because I've never really sat down and had to design it in a flat form before building it, there are elements of design and proportion that I have to pay attention to prior. So this can't be too heavy on the top and too light on the bottom. I'm still not in love with these legs. I really want to change these legs. They're just bothering me. I don't know what it is. There's something I need to do with them. But I kind of wanted you to see what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Let me see. I'm going to open up another piece. Yeah, on this I can see this is 14 minutes already. Is this the bed, housekeeper? That's the 2 chairs. Bedroom furniture, artwork. Here I need bureau, double bed, single bed. I realized that as I was putting together everything for the bedrooms, the Nandor Haunty stuff is ready to have stuff added. But some of this, I realized it didn't have enough beds, and I kind of liked these beds in this Mary Frances thing. You can see the beds here. This is the better copy that I could get, was black and white, and I'm changing it around. I don't like these things. These are just driving me nuts, and I hate these. And then some of you are going, well, then why are you using it? And I'm like, I'm using it for a blueprint for what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back to this one today. And you can see the bed, this portion, this is part of Katie math. It has to do with the lines and everything else. But I need to make sure that these things are balanced because, as you can see the dotted line in here, these are going to be folded. And I don't know how to explain it other than this piece here will be cut out and folded on top of each other. I'm going to take these and change them. It's going to be one going across and one smaller, which I like that build, I think, a little bit better. And maybe a second piece. I don't know. I think I might lower this. But I hate those legs. I hate those legs with all my spite. And then I'm right now trying to figure out, because there's a percentage here that I need to make sure is right, because when these come up and in front, they need to hit in the right spot. And we're going to be running some errands next week, and I think I'm going to get some of these just ready to print in black and white and make some copies at the library and get the percentages correct, because again, working this way, I'm having to work flat, but then move the pieces inside my brain so I know where they're going to go. Whereas when I'm building, reaching up here, when I'm building this, when I built this, I could very easily see where things go and where things don't go, where things need to be trimmed, etc. And using these sorts of pieces, this is just right here. If I select on that and pick it up, I can move it. You can see it's just a static block. Control Z and put that back where it was. And one of the things I've also noticed is I have this idea in my mind, and I don't know where I got it, that when I begin drawing around the outside, that I need to make it like a complete contour all the way around. These pieces have taught me, working with these, it's like, no, you can't do that. So then coming back here to this schiffer robe, come down here, when I was putting this together, I was doing this, putting it together in my mind the way I wanted to kind of attack it this morning, is that this piece here, all the way to this line, but not including this line, is constructed in one piece and grouped together. I then came down and created, well, this piece on the side, because there's so much like paneling and little bits I want to add in there, because there are things I want to add in there. I constructed this piece, and then just, if these aren't linked, I can show you. This is what I drew. Control C, Control V. So I've made this again, and then I can just come up here, and now I have a mirror image of it. So I know if this one's correct, this one should be correct as well. Does that make sense? And that's making it a lot easier. These portions in the middle, I'm constructing as something completely on their own. I still need to correct this little bit right in here. You can see that there's a little bit of a weird kind of bulgy bit right there, but I haven't finished these yet. And again, I'll be doing that. Oh, I hate it when it does this. It's like, no, I do not want a custom. I just want that, and then I'm going to get rid of that, and then I'm going to change it to that. And sometimes I'll be fun and change it to another color, and then come in and I'll I'll decide which ones I like better. I'll play around with the size and the length. I think I want these a little wider. And then we'll go through in each one and make sure all of them are the same size. Like this over here, I just kind of bonked through there. This right here is all clunky and weird. It's not in the right place. It needs to be fixed. So yeah, and it ended up being a 20-minute video. So that's what I'm working on. So these are the things that that will be coming, that are doing a fairly good job of keeping my mind occupied. If there's anything you want to see in what I'm doing, let me know. Right now, I have everything. If I open this up, I want to say through till February 5th, I have videos coming out. The piano is next. I need to finish filming that one. And then I'm going to start on the couches, the ones that are like, have the Marimekko, the Maria Isola, and the Erja Hiri patterns on them, which are really fun. And I've already started redesigning those as well, with some different shapes. So thank you, all of my patrons, for sticking around and giving me, I mean, I'd be doing this anyway, but giving me a place where I feel like I can, at least if I'm yelling or talking at the darkness, at least I know that there's the possibility of you guys on the other end kind of listening a little bit. So anyway, thank you, patrons, and I'll see you in the next video.